Hello, it's Ren Presents time. I'm your host, Ren, and today we continue with the House of Bloodstein, Perlamum, Chapter 21, Ennez of Innari. And surprise, we'll be also doing Chapter 22, Shook Manor, as they're not very long. We are once again broadcasting from Fortress Bloodstein amidst all the chaos and hubbub and to-do of this coronavirus pandemic. My wife is sharing my office with me, doing her job from home, and if you hear a lot of noise and talking in the background, it is my wife who refuses to stay quiet. When last we visited the House of Bloodstein, we bore witness to a horrific battle deep within the Wunderlucks holdings. Sam was completely dispitiated that the Wunderlucks had a piece of her people's mourning wall. That's an item of magic, an item of great prestige. It's part of her heritage, and she was not going to let them have it, and she took it back. And unfortunately, due to an arcane trunk that the Wunderlucks robed visitors gave them, which was full of arcane equipment and a demon, Kay was not able to pull them back out, and a massive battle ensued with the Wunderlucks. I allowed Kay just to pull them out. There would be no scene. And I had to add the demon in the trunk to plug a plot hole. Otherwise, like, hey, Red, why don't you just pull him back out? No, I was determined to have a big battle, and so I had to finagle that. That demon comes into play later. It actually worked out nicely. So, we will continue with the story. Chapter 21, Ennez of Innari. Oh, and in case you forgot, Sam was on the verge of being killed by a Zaffin Hemalizer that Rusty Wunderluck had affixed to the back of her neck. And fortunately, King was on hand to disable the Hemalizer just before it completely bled her out. But she's not in very good shape. So let's continue. Chapter 21, Ennez of Innari. They all gathered in Kay and Sam's bedroom afterwards. Sam lay face down in bed, sedated, worked on by Ennez of Innari, a Hospitaller Samaritan of the Knickerbaum order. His tools and scanners were laid out on the bed. He skillfully tended to the remains of the sinister Hemalizer on Sam's neck. That is some devilish Zaffin craftsmanship, that's for sure, he said. Ennez had been a friend of the family for over 50 years. He was often away from Cana, faring the stars and contributing to the Hospitaller's knowledge of the medical arts, as was the ongoing Knickerbaum mission. His favorite ship was the New Faith, and his favorite captain was Davidge, Kay's father. He was the Hospitaller they knew and trusted most. Ennez had stitched Kay back up after he'd almost been killed by the horrid Kalanju years back. It was fortunate he had been in residence at the Hospitaller Sanctum in Minz when Kay calmed for urgent assistance. He had come as quickly as he could to personally treat Sam. He maneuvered his tools into the inner workings of the Hemalizer device like a skilled watchmaker. These are very difficult to remove. Try to rip it free and it'll sever the victim's spine. It has to be done just right. These devices are made specifically to kill black hats and even the sisters. The metal is a rare alloy that passes right through Stens and TK fields. Just pop it on, and a few minutes later, your victim's dead. All the blood drained out and crystallized. That crystallized blood is prized in Kabbalistic rituals, I hear tell. The harder you try to pull it off, the harder it digs in. I'm going to take this metal with me to the Hospitallers. It's rare stuff here in the League. We could make good use of it, no doubt. Fine by me, Kay said, watching him work. Do something nice with it. Philip, sitting next to Thomasina, remarked, the metal comes from Ifrinson on Midas, doesn't it? It comes from various places. This one here is good, strong stuff. Sam lay there, partially unconscious from the medications Ennez had given her. Kay stroked her black hair and kissed her pale hand. She tried to speak, but he gently closed her mouth. "Just rest easy, my love," he said in Ennui. She struggled to speak. "Wall?" Yes, we have it, and we shall return it to its proper place as soon as we can. Rest assured, darling, it is safe." Ennez worked steadily. He glanced at the bloodied Sarah sitting nearby. "As soon as I take care of Sam, I'll get you patched up. You look like a piece of filleted beef." "I'm all right." Yeah, I'll get to you in a minute." Sitting quietly in a chair near the terrace was a silent Monomoh female wearing boots, tight leather pants, and a black marine flight jacket. Though she was a Monomoh, she was a smaller, less full, less pretty version of Sam. Her skin was the usual Monomoh chalk white, and her coal dark hair was down to her ankles. Her black eyes were tiny. Sarah was curious. "Who's the lady, Ennez?" Ennez stood over Sam with his scanners and tools and continued working. "The lady is my wife, Sarah. Lady Talaran, formerly of the Fanook tribe of the southern lakeshore." Kay thought a moment. "Oh, the ones my parents befriended on Hoban, isn't that right?" Ennez eased the mechanism of the hemolyzer loose from Sam's skin. "That's right. She was a real pistol during the whole temple ordeal, and we stayed in touch afterwards, stayed friends, and then decided to get married." "Congratulations, I hadn't heard that." Sarah, face swollen, walked up to her. "Hi!" Lady Talaran smiled up at her. "Yentha Vika," she said. Ennez laughed. "Before you ask, Sarah, Telos doesn't speak Lee Common. She speaks Konox, and that's about it. She has an Indikar for translating, but she didn't bring it today, as we were in a hurry to get over here, weren't we? We just dropped what we were doing and came. She doesn't speak LC, and I don't speak Konox. It's fine. We usually just speak in hand signals and stuff." Kay turned to her and bowed. "It's good to see you again, Lady Talaran," he said in Ennui. She responded in Konox. "And you, handsome man. Are you thirsty? Can we offer you some coffee?" She nodded and smiled. "I partial to that, and for husband as well." "You speak Konox, Kay?" Ennez asked. "No, but I speak Ennui, which is close enough to be understandable at a basic level. She has quite a different accent than Sam's. I offered her some coffee. You want some, Ennez?" "Sure." Sarah hated coffee. No, Kay, get some gasol up here, will you? Make it red and keep it coming. I just got done beating a Wunderluck half to death."
"Your daughter is eating the cube."
"Fine. Philip and Thomasina?" They nodded. Kay called down to the kitchens to have a coffee service brought up and a red gasol for Sarah. "So how's Sam?" Sarah asked. "She's severely bled out, but I think she's going to be fine," Ennez said. "You got it disabled before it really had time to blood her down. This hemolyzer's of Georgian make. Very dangerous." He removed the innards of the hemolyzer and set them aside, pulling out circuits, gears, drills, and other minutiae oiled in Sam's blood. There was a surprising amount. He pulled the dented metal body away, revealing a nasty chewed-up hole in the back of Sam's neck. Sarah, always a fan of the lurid, leaned in to get a good look. "Very typical damage from a hemolyzer," Ennez said. "Punches a hole right in the carotid artery. It's fortunate for Sam that Monomohs don't keep their arteries in the same places elders do. Otherwise, it would have killed her quick. Still, for the short time it was functioning, it did a number on her. Whoever put this on her also missed her vertebrae by millimeters. You can see them through the hole here." Sarah leaned in to look. Ennez picked up several tools and set to repairing the damage the hemolyzer left. "When I'm finished, there will be barely a scar." As Ennez worked, Lady Talaran stood and walked over to Sarah. She stared at her and said a few things in Konox. "Sorry, I don't speak Monomoh," Sarah said. Talaran kept talking. She reached up and pinched Sarah in the arm. "Kay, what's she saying? And tell her I don't speak Monomoh." Kay listened and laughed. "I think she's challenging you to a fight, Sarah. Monomohs do that a lot. They love to test each other's strength and speed. Every time we go down to the lake to work on Sam's jar, I get challenged to this and that by her brothers." "A fight?" "She sees your pretty face and considers you to be a warrior. She wants to test your strength once you've had time to properly heal. She's actually paying you a compliment." Sarah was flattered. "Oh, well, tell her thanks for me, and we'll fight later." Ennez turned around and tapped Talaran on the nose. "Tells No, I've told you about that. Sorry, Sarah, I'm trying to get her to stop that habit. She does it everywhere we go. It's embarrassing. It's okay, Ennez. She turned to Talaran. No. After we get all this settled, we'll fight later, okay? Tell her, Kay. She's kind of a string bean compared to Sam. I'll bet I can take her. Whatever, Sarah. Just don't let Tells get her legs around you, because it'll be all over. She's cracked my bones before, Ennez said. Sarah stirred. Good thing you're a hospitower, then. Listen, I hate to bring this up, but what are we going to do about the quest? Let's not forget the big Wunderluck meathead saw the machine. If he's got half a brain, he's going to know what it is. He's probably telling his cronies all about it right at this moment. What if they come and try and take it? Kay was silent. Kay, what do you think? Sarah demanded. As Ennez finished repairing Sam's neck, he spoke. I say I hope they do come. I hope every one of them comes. Then we can make them extinct on Vith ground. Sam sat up and took the glass full of dark blue liquid. What is it? She asked, heavy-lidded, her voice hoarse. Ennez, holding his scanner, replied, It's a malic and a caloric compound to introduce calories into your system. You're fully patched up from the hemolyzer, but you're way low on blood, and you need to rest until you replenish. I don't want you moving around for the time being. That is my prescription. Sam stared at the liquid. But the wall and those pathetic Wunderlucks. I want to take the wall home. Kay answered. We'll do that as soon as you're better, darling. Just rest now. Go ahead and drink the medication, and when you wake up, we'll all head to Castle Astralon with the wall and present it back to your family. She drank the whole glass in several tender swallows, wrinkling her nose from the taste, and then lay back. She gave the glass to Kay and gazed at him. Moments later, she was asleep. How long will she be out, Ennez? 7 days. That's why I included the caloric. Kay was concerned. 7 days? Monomas don't replenish their blood very fast, and being an Anuian, she can't take a transfusion from a Konox monoma like Tells. She needs every bit of 7 days to fully recover. She's in no danger? Sarah asked. She looked much better. Her swellings were gone, her lip repaired, and her eyes were near fully healed. Ennez had done good work on her. No, she just needs to rest. I don't want her running around doing this and that. The malic will keep her out precisely 7 days. Then the caloric will keep her nourished, and then she'll pop up good as new. He put his tools away, assisted by Talaran. Now, in order to help keep me quiet about this, you're going to have to clue me in. I'm a knickerbomb, and therefore I'm curious. So what happened? They took Ennez and Lady Talaran to a spacious reading room where they could talk. Coffee and gasol was brought in. Kay and Sarah, with bits from Thomasina and Philip, explained what happened, how the Wunderlucks had stolen from Kai's bar and from the Astralons, and how they tried to kill Sam with a hemolyzer. Ennez noted it down. So, as a hospitower, I'm supposed to report to my order when I see strange and possibly illegal doings. We're supposed to tell the sisters so they may have the final say as to whether justice needs to be applied. I suppose it's pointless to ask. You're not going to the sisters with this list of offenses, are you? Kay responded, No. If we go to the sisters, they'll come to Blanchford and start snooping around. They'll probably discover the machine and a host of other things that we got here that we're not supposed to have. The Wunderlucks probably know that. Vith pride is well known, and in this case, easily exploited. Nevertheless, we will handle it. We're not running to the sisters, and as let legal proceedings and panelings be carried out in Esther or Remnath. The Vith take care of their own. We will handle it. We will make the Wunderlucks wish we'd gone to the sisters. Creation, you sound like your father. That's right. Therefore, if you wish to join us, and I suggest you and your lady be prepared for nothing short of hell, for it won't be more than a half-mile off. And with that, we conclude Chapter 21, Ennez of Innari. Ennez has been around since Book 1 of the League of Elders series. He's the usual medic, per se. As a hospitower, he's a healer/warrior. He carries a jet staff that he's very proficient with. All hospitowers have a dual role of healing and fighting, and they do both very well. There are a number of sects within the Hospitaller Order. Ennez is a knicker bomb, which is, they're the ones who are supposed to add to the Hospitaller's knowledge. They go out, usually on the ships with the fleet, and find new things to investigate and add to their knowledge. There's other orders. There's the Hopkins. They're like the GCs, just the general practitioners, and they're usually based on Cana and other planets in the League. I based that name, the Hopkins, off of my childhood family doctor, Dr. Hopkins. There's also the Ephesians, who are like a secret sect inside the Hospitallers that do secret things. They do things past the sisters' vigilance in order to gather knowledge. There's a few other sects. Oh, there's also the Jones. The Jones, who are a sect of Hospitallers from Baz, and they're so different. Even though they're Hospitallers, they're almost like a different group of people. And then there's the Bobolites, and they're the ones who usually go onto a battlefield and do battlefield dressings and fight along with armies. And so even though all the Hospitallers are supposed to be warriors as well as healers, the Bobolites make that their point of focus. So Ennez gets the Hemolizer off Sam's neck, and he finds out that Kay and his family aren't going to go to the sisters with this atrocity, with the Wunderlucks trying to kill Sam, because they're going to handle it themselves. And we will see what happens, and we are going to proceed immediately to Chapter 22, Shook Manor. So let's begin. With Ennez and Lady Talaran at their side, they headed out to the grove to fetch the remaining pieces from Shook. The Whispers were right where they'd been left, watching over the clearing with tireless patience. Kay spoke the password and the veil opened. 2 Barks were still there, watching over the clearing. Satisfied as to their situation, they moved the morning wall safely aside, leaning it against an oak tree. It took all of them to comfortably move it to the edge of the clearing. Lady Talaran had all sorts of questions, which Kay tried to answer as best he could. Her use of the Konox language was just understandable enough to be frustrating. Sometimes he understood most of what she was saying, other times hardly at all. And her accent, to Kay's ear it sounded greasy and phlegmy. Sam sometimes mentioned to him that speakers of Anui looked down on the Monomas who spoke Konox. They thought they sounded funny. They uncovered the machine and set to work. As Sam was not around, Lady Talaran muscled the malice mirror into position, though she didn't handle it as easily as Sam had. She needed a bit of help. They concentrated as hard as they could, and distant lopsided Conwell appeared in the cloudy depths of the mirror. They dropped down through the clouds to the surprisingly quiet countryside and saw Shook Manor in the distance, lit up like a birthday cake. Sarah hopped through the frame of the mirror and dropped into the tall, weedy grass, the tails of her black duster trailing behind. King followed. He passed into Kay's sight, through the gate of the Oberphiliacs, and fluttered into the golden frame of the malice mirror, settling on her shoulder. "Are you certain you trust Sarah?" Ennez asked, watching her sneak through the grass. "I've known her to be a bit impulsive since she was a child. She's liable to get distracted and run off somewhere." "We gave King orders to drag her back to the mirror should she forget herself," Kay said. "But he's just a tiny bird. He can lift her weight and more. King is a wonder." "Ah, yes, I should know better than to question the amazing creations of Lady Poe." Back in the mirror, the two of them skulked to the north, Sarah's blue ponytail rolling across her back as she crept through the grass. The mirror's eye followed them flawlessly. Sarah was moving in a fairly stealthy manner, sometimes crouching, sometimes crawling in order to stay hidden in the grass. Sarah could be a sneaky person when she wanted to be. Every so often she poked her head up and lit her sight, the blue beams panning out in front of her like a set of headlights. "She's like a little blue-haired commando, isn't she?" Ennez said. "Crawls around the grass like she's done it forever." "Sarah's never minded getting dirty," Kay responded. Sarah pulled a small jar from her duster and opened it. 4 whisper ladybugs drifted out and then flew around Sarah and King in quiet circles. Just then, Sarah and King vanished from where they were. 4 whispers should completely cloak them, Philip said. "I can still see them," Kay said. "I can see just through the 4 whispers." Kay watched King settle over a particular patch of grass and flutter. On came the bright white of his sight. Sarah arrived and searched through it, moving everything aside as if she were unwrapping a present. Success! She held aloft a blue perlamum piece in triumph, the queen piece. She placed it in the pocket of her duster and moved on. What's going on? Philip asked, unable to see. She's got the queen. That's an important acquisition. Now she's moving on to collect the other pieces, Kay said. Why was that piece just lying out in the weeds? Ennez asked. Shook is a noted hedonist. Parties are said to be in progress at his manor at all times, Thomasina said. Some drunken lout, no doubt, left it out there. Sarah and King continued, inching ever closer to the complex. I don't like this, Thomasina said. It's too dangerous for her out there by herself. She's doing fine, Kay said. She's cloaked and in the Whisper's veil. King's also with her, and we can always pull her right back. The arcane might close the gateway. If they encounter something arcane, King will detect it and pull Sarah away. They arrived at a cistern about 100 yards from Shook's villa, King pointing it out. Sarah reached down and lifted the impressively heavy-looking grate from the top, and King fluttered in. She crouched down in the grass and waited for him to return. They've reached the cistern, Kay announced. A few minutes later, King emerged from the open grate, holding a perlamum piece in his beak. He gave it to Sarah, and she held it up. There, the missive, Kay said, pointing at the mirror, lodged in Shook's plumbing just like the list mentioned. That is a key piece for Lady Chrysania. I recommend it be properly sterilized first, Ennez says. Who knows what sort of fungus and other virulent agents it might have been subjected to in that filthy water. Of course. Sarah placed the missive within her duster and continued on towards the manor. Whispers flying around them, hiding them from sight and sound. The two of them crept into the complex. They slipped into a large open courtyard featuring a lovely swimming pool, the place swooning in the hushed, disheveled state following a wild party. Morsels of half-eaten food and empty bottles lay strewn about. Things floated in the pool. Clothes were tossed all over in colorful pockets. People in various stages of undress languished about, most sleeping off an evening of heavy celebration. Others crawled about in a cooped-up stupor. I can't see Sarah and King, but I can see this unholy disaster area, Thomasina said. Look at that depravity. Do these people have no principles? Ennez rubbed his chin. Seems clear they've overindulged in spirits and magatabs. Tisk, such a waste. Thomasina was incensed. Well, we shall see about this situation. My ladies from Wham will go to Shook in force and clean that place up with club and fist if need be. You wait. I will not have this. Sarah and King approached the swimming pool. King fluttered over the water and plunged in beak first with a clean splash. A moment later, he surfaced with a long wooden box, drenched from being submerged. He set it down on the rim of the pool. Sarah opened the box. Inside were the pawns, all neatly lined up. She held the box over her head in triumph. Excellent work, Sarah, Kay said as he watched her. We have the pawns. Now all we need is the king, and Wilhella's set will be complete. He watched Sarah confer with King, and they headed off toward the manor proper. Don't forget about the jester and the dead men, Philip added. In the mirror, Sarah and King had made progress. She exited from the manor complex, leading a nude, staggering man by the hand. He seemed to be either drunk, cooped up, or bawled out on something. He stumbled and flopped about as Sarah led him away. Who is that filthy man stumbling about? Thomasina asked. That's the fellow carrying the king piece, Kay said. Ennez examined the man through the mirror. I can tell from here he's cooped up bad. I suppose I'll give him a free detoxing session while he's here. Those aren't cheap, mind you. The man fell into the grass in a flaccid tangle of arms and legs, and Sarah roughly hauled him back up. In the villa, several indistinct forms appeared, wobbling, peering out into the night. Lights began snapping on in the manor. Searchlights came up in a slow glow, streaming across the field. Sarah and King stopped. She held her arms over her head, ready to be picked up and whisked away, far from Conwell, back to the Telmus Grove. Kay reached through the mirror, took Sarah by the hands, and pulled her effortlessly through, King following. Kay struggled with the nude man as he was too loose and slack to be of much help. "Who's this person?" Thomasina demanded. "Creation, somebody cover him up before I become ill." Sarah was panting but smiling. "Wow, that was rad. This, everybody, is the king. It's up this guy's butt, remember? I found him in the kitchen face first in a nasty bowl of hash." "Oh yeah, Mr. Eat, Drink, and Be Merry. This is the guy?" Philip asked as he took off his black duster and draped it over the naked man's shoulders. Insensate, he gurgled something in response. "Gods, he reeks of barrel spirits. Come on, you," Ennez said. "Let's go sit down somewhere, lax up, and count our blessings. Then we'll get all the MAGA out of your pores and send you back home." "It was easy," Sarah shouted, diving into the chair, her face livid with excitement. "I'm ready to do it again." They were settled in the comfortable couches and chairs of the mystery library. The various pieces they collected sat on the old Nadine wood table before them. The king piece stood alone off to the side. "You sure you sterilized that, right, Ennez?" Sarah asked. He nodded. 3 times. And then we sent the poor booger back to Conwell. He's not going to be enjoying life much next time he sits down for a constitutional, but there it is. Sarah had her pocket terminal out. She linked it to the Wammick list up in the professor's office and was admiring the updated profiles. They all read, "Status taken. Trustees, Lord Cable of Blanchford. Lady Sarah of Blanchford. Lord Philip of Blanchford. Nie Countess Sammy Doran of Blanchford. Madame Thomasina, 19th of Wham, Portator of Ald. Current location, Zyodal Tower, Castle Blanchford, Mystery Library." "So here's what he's got," Sarah said, still admiring the list. "Shook's got this sprawling Remnant-style villa out in the country. It has a wall, but it's not complete. It's got breaks here and there. We just stepped on in. I could see all sorts of little buildings huddled around his villa, and in a rather large swimming pool in the central area. There were no other buildings around that I recall. I think I saw some city lights way off in the distance, but nothing near the vicinity." "What was going on in Shook's villa?" Philip asked. "Some sort of drunken party, I think. I heard music and people laughing and talking and splashing around the pool. I also caught glimpses of people moving around his villa here and there. I don't think they were dressed. Some of the guys were dressed. They were wearing suits, I think, but most everybody else was undressed. They were having an orgy. Right, King?" King sat there and didn't reply. "I'm certain they were," Thomasina said. "Shook is a filthy hedonist, and those days will soon be in the past. The singing tens shall hold sway in Shook." Sarah looked at the pieces and felt rather proud. She picked up the king and admired it. Thomasina was disgusted. "Wasn't that piece inside the man's rectum?" "Yeah, so? It's been sterilized 3 times, right, Ennez?" He nodded. "It's amazing what a good hospitour laxative can accomplish, isn't it?" Ennez said. "I would have tucked a bottle into his pocket to take home with him when we sent him back, but he didn't have any pockets, did he?" Lady Talaran wrinkled her nose. "I can still smell it," she said in Konax. Sarah was nonplussed. "So, the last piece remains, the jester floating out there with the dead men over mare. With the mirror and the machine, the piece is ours for the taking. It's going to be easy." She rubbed her hands together with excitement. "So I think our way ahead is clear. The preliminaries are over. It's time for the big guy." "I don't think we should rush into this, Sarah," Kay said. "Let's rest up and do it in the morning. I want to check up on Sam." "Sam's fine. She's out for 7 days, right, Ennez? I'm sure when she wakes up, she'll be all mad at me for something as usual. That's fine. I really think we should go back and knock it out now. When she wakes up, we can tell her while she was recovering we got the job done. Come on. The dead guy is not getting any fresher." "In the morning, Sarah," Kay said again. She wasn't giving up. "But, Kay, how about this? You and me hit the grove, go a round or 2. I get the first punch, and if I floor you, we get the dead guy right now." "Sarah, our list of appointment in the groves is getting rather lengthy, and for that matter, the day you can knock me down with 1 punch is very far in the offing. Don't forget, you're still going to have to settle up with Sam when she wakes up. And this lady here wants to take me on too," she said, pointing at Talaran. Fine, I'm always up for it. The more the better. Bring it. But first, let's get this done with the dead man. Sarah, Kay said, we're all tired. I'm certain Thomasina needs time to settle into her guest quarters, as does Ennez and Lady Talaran. There's nothing we can do tonight we can't do tomorrow. But Kay! No buts. That's it. We do it in the morning. And with that, we conclude Chapter 22, Shook Manor. And using their arcane instrumentality, Sarah and King were able to fetch the major pieces that Shook had laying around in a rather haphazard manner in Shook's villa. The king, the queen, the missive, and the pawns. And as I said before, I think I must have been watching Jackass or something when I did this, because I don't know. I put the pieces in all sorts of stupid places. So now they have collected all of the Perlamum pieces of Wilhilla Cormac Graham's set, except for the Jester, and Sarah's raring to go to get at that dead man, to pull him through the mirror and get the piece off of him. But Kay wants to wait until the morning, and she's all put off. Next chapter, Chapter 23, Infinata. And we'll see what comes of that as we once again tangle with our dear friends from the south, the Wunderlucks. They're not going to make things easy on our heroes, and that's a fact. So once again, I am broadcasting from Fortress Bloodstein in central Ohio. We got coronavirus all over the place, but we're good. We are hunkered down, and we are good. And next week, we will continue with Chapter 23, Infinata. Until then, this is Ren Presents. I am your host, Ren. Peace out.